What's up guys, today I'm going to be showing you a powerful AI e-commerce chatbot and how you can build one for yourself. So here's a demo. So I've deployed the chatbot to this website, the e-commerce website. They sell premium bags. So I'll click on the chat bubble. Hello, I'm Zawadi and I'm here to help you find the perfect bag. I can also assist with tracking your order. How can I help you today? So let's say, do you have any nice bag for the office? Okay, there you go. You can see some nice bags there. Yeah, pretty nice. What about some nice bags for the beach? You can see the bags there. Pretty nice bags. And let's say I'd ordered some items and I need to know where they've reached. So let's track it. My order is 102. So you see there it is, gives me back the items I had ordered, and you can see your order for the above items has been shipped and is on the way to your location. Kindly await its arrival. Is there anything else I can help you with? No. And also just to show you, you can be able to click and purchase the item, and that takes you on to this page where you can proceed to add it to cart or buy it now. So the question remains is, how can you build such a powerful chatbot? Let me show you. So for the data, we are using Airtable to store the stock inventory, but in an actual scenario we'll be using pulling the data from their databases or even their CRM or wherever they store their stock inventory. So we have it here, the products. You can see the fields that we have, the product name, the base colors, article type, the image, URL, the price, the material of the bag, any secondary colors, and the URL. Okay, so the URL that will lead to so that you can go to the actual page to buy the product. And here we have the orders table, which stores the actual order details. This emulates, for example, you can be pulling this from Shopify, the current orders and all that. So that's the data. Now let's go to the build on VoiceFlow. So here in VoiceFlow, we start by just sending a message. Just, hi, I'm Zawadi. I can assist you find the perfect bag, even help track your order. How may I assist you today? And we generate some variations for that. Then we pull it through into an intent classifier, which is just a choice block, which has the following intents. So one intent that we have is recommending products. The other one is for tracking orders. And the final one is a no match if no intent has been captured. So on this no match step, would follow it up with having the AI give a response from information that's available on the knowledge base. So this is now the AI customer support part. But in this tutorial, I'm just going to be focusing on product recommendation and order tracking. So for you to see the actual intents, let me show you. So we come here to intents. We have the following intents: product recommendation and tracking the order. So how you do that is just click new intent, give it a name, whatever. Mine, I call them product recommendation. Give it a description. So for example, trigger this intent when the user gives a statement that shows they want to a product recommendation or something. So something detailed is helpful, especially if you're using LLM intent classification. But if you're using NLU, natural language understanding, the description doesn't really matter. What you put in the utterances is the critical part. So here, utterances give it some statements that if the user says this, means they want to a product recommendation. Give it several examples, then you'll click create intent. Okay, so just to show you when I mean LLM intents, here you can be able to pick and say you want LLM intent classification. It's normally more accurate than the NLU, but it costs tokens. Okay, so in this case we can work with the NLU because it's free. Okay, then so you can see here some examples of the utterances I used for product recommendation. You can have ChatGPT help you with this. It's quite easy. Okay, so you can see all this. You can pause if you want some inspiration. Then also for the tracking order, same scenario, give it some utterances that simulate that this person wants to track their order. Okay, then create the intent. So let's go back to the workflow. So if the intent classifier notices they want a product recommendation, it will save their question to a variable which we have called recom question, and we set it to the last utterance, which is the last user's response. Then from that we forward it to the intent, which is product recommendation, and we have this intent you see go to intent product recommendation, and this is in the product recommendation workflow. So when you go to that product recommendation workflow, we arrive here where you see what's triggering this workflow is the intent of product recommendation. Okay, so you'll have and set it as product recommendation. Then we go on. So it first goes to a set AI step, which is to generate the Airtable formula that we'll use to call the Airtable database and give back products or bugs that meet the user's requirements. So here's the prompt. You can read through it. I won't go through it. You can pause and see, but it's just wanting to take the question from the user and convert it into an Airtable formula. So you can bring down here, you want the temperature to be brought down. Okay, so you don't want it to use much of its creativity. You want it to be deterministic and bring the exact formula based on the instructions given. Okay, so then here in the system prompt, you can read through it. We provide some details, and down here we give it some examples. Okay, so for example, do you sell any brown totes? This is the example formula that the AI will come up with. If they say I want a black briefcase, this is what you give back. Okay, then you can actually test it. Let's test it. Let's say something like let's see, and you see there it is. You see where base color is brown, article type is tot, and where the image field is not blank. Okay, so that's a conditioning we have put in. Okay, so let's move on. So from there, the AI will give back an Airtable formula. If it's not able to do that, it will send back the word no valid query. If that's the case, we'll move on and tell the user, sorry, I couldn't find an item that meets your request. Is there anything else I can help you with? But if there's an Airtable formula that's gotten from there, it goes through the else path. Okay, and here when they say yes, there's something else they want to help with, we tell them sure, go ahead, and pass them to the intent classifier at the very beginning of this workflow. Okay, so that's in the home workflow. Okay, so with that being said, if the Airtable formula is generated, we go to an API block over here whose work is actually to call the Airtable database, bring back relevant products. So I'll cover my API token over here, but on your side I'll show you how you handle that. So go to Airtable. Then what you want to do is click on your profile and go to build a hub. So you'll create new token, give it the token a name, doesn't matter, whatever. Add all the scopes that you see here. So you'll add all of them accordingly. Then once that's done, you want to attach a base that you want to access. For me, I want to access the e-commerce bags database. Then you'll click create token. It will pop up with your Airtable token. You'll copy it and save it somewhere because you'll need it in your VoiceFlow project. So I have mine, so I'll just cancel that. Then what you want to do is go to developer docs, scroll down till you see web API docs. I love Airtable. They make their documentation very easy to walk through. They're just so awesome. Scroll down till you see e-commerce bags or that specific database you want to access. Then we want to access the products table and list records. Okay, so click on that. So you'll copy this URL as is, go back to your VoiceFlow, then you'll paste it in here. Okay, then ensure this is a get request. Okay, then what you want to do is add this final part and filter by formula equals the specific formula we've generated, which is the Airtable formula that we've generated from the AI step initially. Then authorization, add in your token. I've covered mine, but ensure you paste in your access token that you got from Airtable. Then here in parameters, we want to state the specific fields that we want returned from the API. The database could be having many fields, but we don't really need to use all of them. So this is where you specify the exact fields that you want. So what you do is you create plus, okay, do plus, then add the specific parameter key, which is fields, then square brackets, then the name of the field, which is, let's say, URL or something. Okay, so after doing that, it is critical, click outside the input field. This is to ensure the parameter is saved. So when you want to do a test request, it's already saved up. if you don't click outside the input field and you just go direct to do a test request, it won't work because the parameters haven't been saved. Okay, so that's simple. So what you want to do also is capture the response dot records and save it to a variable called recom products. On your side, go ahead and create that variable. Okay, then send request. So we can do a test request here. I have an Airtable formula already here in place, so we can work with that. Let's generate. So you can see it returns some records. This is example response, and that's why you saw we are saying response dot records, so that we can just get this array saved to this variable called recom products. Okay, so that's critical. So moving forward, so here we want to format the response from the API step so that we can be able to display a carousel. So here, this is a function to restructure the JSON, and down here we have created a variable in voice flow called formatted recom products. Okay, then equals to restructure JSON, which is this function over here, and we pass in recom products, which is a variable we get from the API step. Okay, then don't worry, I know it seems like a lot of code, but just explain. So if the data, which is this, the recom products, if it's empty or doesn't have any records in it, return the word no product data available. Otherwise, move on. Okay, so we'll create an array to store the objects. So we'll do that. Then we loop through the records that have been returned, and we want to access each product and access just the fields. Okay, because in the fields, if you remember when we did a test run, the required details are in the fields property. Okay, so with that, we'll create an empty object which will assign the necessary details. So here what we do is, if this product product dot product name is not empty, return set summary dot name, which is this summary. So summary dot name, have it as that specific product name. Otherwise, if this is empty, means there's no product name for that specific record, return the word null. So this, how it will be structured is this way. So for example, this will be name. Okay, so you see name is equal to the product name. Okay, same case for image, and so on and so forth. So this is a summary object. Okay, so that's how it's structured, and we continue. So after generating the object, push each object to the summaries array that we've created over here, and now the total result will be passed on, will be returned from the function, so that it can be saved to the variable formatted recom products. Okay, so next is a set AI step, just to come up with a statement that will send back to the user before displaying the carousel. So you remember in the tutorial, we in the demo we showed that it's first says something like, I hope these tote bags are what you're looking for, something like that. So that statement we generate with set AI before displaying the carousel. Okay, so here's the prompt. You can pause and read through it, but the point is just it comes up with the response, then saves it to a variable called recom text. Okay, then in the prompt settings is where the magic happens. So there's a system prompt here. You can pause and read through it. We're just giving it its role and the kind of work we expect from it and how it should behave. Okay, so next, this is a JavaScript that will come up with the actual variable that will display the exact carousels. So what we want to do is to display the carousel images, which is the images of the specific product. We want to display it dynamically, because the other option is we use a carousel step over here, which is this, a carousel block, to display the actual images that are returned from the API step. But this is very manual and tedious. It will result in so many blocks around your canvas. You don't want that. So why we do that is now we use JavaScript to come up with to be able to display the carousel dynamically. So to start this, I had a video initially, you can check it out, where I train you how to be able to render things dynamically into your voice flow chatbot. So you can go check it out within the channel. But just to give you a quick run through, we first create a variable called cards and have it as an empty array. Each single card will be representing a single product returned from the API. Then what we want to do is we want to loop through the formatted record products. So each record within that specific variable, we want to create an object for it. So that object is a specific card, okay? And each card has a title, a description, an image URL, and some buttons. Similar to how the carousel is, if you go and see, if I were to pull a carousel block over here, you can see each single card over there, and a card has a link, which is the image URL. It has a title, it has a description, and some buttons. So similar to our JavaScript over here, you can see each card has a title, description, image URL, and some buttons. So for the title, we'll pass in the specific name of the product. The description will leave it empty. The image URL will pass in the image URL from the object, and some buttons. So we have two buttons. One is to view the item, another one is to purchase the item. Okay, so the button has a name, which is view item, then a request of type view item. So the name that you give to this type over here should match the path of the custom action. Okay, so if you look at this, let me just show you. After this JavaScript step, we'll display the dynamic carousel through a custom action block. So if I go to this custom action block over here, you can see I have two paths. One is to view the item, another one is purchase item. So view item, this exact statement as is, you should copy it, come back to your JavaScript here, and ensure the request type over here matches that. So when someone clicks view item from the custom action block, it will follow the view item pathway. Okay, if they click purchase item over here, it will follow the pathway of purchase item. That is critical. Okay, so then we pass in some payload, and the payload has a label and some actions. Okay, so this is the actions. If you remember in the custom action in the carousel block, let me just show you. If you add a button over here, okay, give it whatever name, btn1, you see here there are some actions you can add. So the actions that are available is going to block, intent, set variable, open URL. So this is the variable that we need. Open URL, then you enter the specific URL. So when you go back to the JavaScript, here you can see we have the actions here. The type of action is open URL, and in the payload we pass in the exact URL, which is the URL of the image. Okay, then next you can go to the next button, which is purchase item. We pass in is of request type purchase item, which matches the custom action pathway. Then in the payload we pass in the action, which is of type open URL, and the URL we pass in the URL to the exact product page. Okay, so with that being said, you can exit that. I'll just delete this. So first we display the recom text that was generated by the AI. Then we go into the displaying the actual carousels through the custom action block. So here in the custom action block, the name of the custom action should match the trace type that you want to display. So if you wanted to display buttons, it's trace of type choice, so you'll have it there as choice. Okay, but since we are displaying carousels, we have it as trace of type carousel. Then in the action body, we pass in the actual formatted recom products. Okay, and if you go back to our JavaScript step here, I forgot to show you, we have in the formatted recom products, we say it as the layout, which is carousel. Then we pass in the cards that we have been able to create over here through the for loop. Okay, so on doing that, you have to ensure that you make it into a string. Okay, so you convert this JSON into a string, because in order to pass it as a payload in the custom action, this payload only accepts strings. Okay, so if it's not a string, it won't work. Okay, so then you add the paths over there, which is view item and purchase item. which in this case is not really necessary, because in any case we'll just move it forward to this block. But this is just to simulate in an actual scenario you might want, if they click view item, you want it to follow a certain flow in your canvas. Okay, so if you want, you can click stop on action. This is to ensure that it won't go into the following flow until someone clicks on a button on the carousel. So until there's an interaction with the carousel. Okay, also here you can set you can enable or use global listening. What this does is, once the carousel has been displayed through the custom action block and the chat continues, the user continues chatting with the chatbot, they can always go back to the carousel on top and click on a button on the carousel, and it will follow the flow as intended to. If this is disabled, so if you disable this over here, it means once the carousel has been displayed and they continue chatting with the chatbot, if they go back to the carousel and click on a button over there or interact with the carousel, it won't work. Okay, so you want to enable and use global listening. So with that being said, it will go on to the next path, which is just going to capture the response from this. So this can be them asking for another recommendation, something like initially that said, do you have any bags for the beach? The AI returned some tote bags for that. Then next they'll ask something like, what about some nice briefcase for the office? This is where we capture that response. Then we forward it to this step, which is going to classify and determine whether they want to product recommendation or they want to track their order, or if they're just asking a general question, we'll go through the else path. So for this, we're using a set AI step. You can pause and read through it, but its work is just to classify the response and save it to a variable called isIntent. So if it's a recommendation, isIntent will be set to recom. If it's a question, if it's a wanting to track their order, isIntent will be set to tracking the order. Okay, so you can see if it will set the isIntent to track. Okay, and here recom. Okay, so with that being said, go next to an if statement, and in this if statement has three conditions. Okay, first condition is if isIntent is recom, means the user wants to be recommended a product, will follow this path. If they want if isIntent is track, means they want to track their order, will go to the order tracking intent. Okay, and we'll go to that flow after this. Then else, if it hasn't been able to classify into one of those brackets, it means they're just asking a general question, and for that we'll just ask them, is there anything else I can help you with? Okay, so with that being said, if they want a recommendation here, I can just zoom in. You can see we're setting the recom question variable to last utterance. If you remember at the very beginning of this flow, this is the variable we used to save the user's response. Then we forward it to the Airtable formula generator. So if you click on that, just going to that is the set AI step that was using the recom question to get an Airtable formula. Okay, so going back, so if its intent is track order, so we'll go to now that flow. So I'll go to that flow, which is in this workflow of tracking order. So the workflow is triggered by the intent of track order. So you can see it there, track order, and it starts with a set AI step, which is meant to classify and check in their response, have they stated their actual order number, or have they just said I want to track my order? So this set AI does that. You can pause and read through it, but the point is we want to be able to obtain if you are to return the order number and the order number only. So for example 101 or 104. If the user input does not contain the order number, return the word none. Okay, so with that we can move on. So next here is an if statement, which will check if the order number is none, means they haven't provided the order number and we need to ask them to do that. So for that we'll follow this path, which goes to kindly share with me your order number. Otherwise we have an else path. Okay, so there's a no match, you'll click plus and have a path for the else, meaning that there's an actual order number provided, for example 101 or 102. With that being said, it will follow the else path, which is just going and skipping all this place where it's asking the question and go directly into making the API call to the orders table. But for here, if they didn't provide an order number, we'll ask for their order number. You can see I've generated 3 variations of that with the AI over here. Then we capture their order number. For this, I've created an entity so that if they say something like my order number is 103, something like that, it will just take 103 and discard the rest. That is critical. So if it's a no match, okay, we'll just tell them, sorry, didn't get that, kindly share the correct order number. But if they've gotten the correct order number, we'll set order number, so that variable, to the specific entity that we have captured, which is order number or order NO. Okay, so with that being said, we'll go to an API step over here, which works to call the Airtable database and obtain the actual order details. So I'll cover my API token over here. So this is just similar to the kind of API call we did initially. We get the details from Airtable over here. So in the API, you'll say you want to access the orders table, list records, and you want to copy this till there. Okay, so copy that, go back to your voice flow and paste it in here. Ensure this is a get request. Okay, then you want to add this part and filter by formula and pass in a formula, and where the order ID is equals the order number that we have been able to collect. Okay, so here then you pass in authorization, then you enter your access token over here. Then here you'll capture the response dot records and save it to a variable called order details. On your side, you'll go ahead and create that variable. So next is the JavaScript that will extract the actual order details so that we can display them back to the user. So I've created some variables in my voice flow. On your side, ensure you create this: order status, order customer name, and also order product list. So with that, you'll see order status, we obtain it from the data, and this data, let me just show you. We call the function, which is this restructured JSON, and pass in the order details that we have gotten from the API. Okay, for those order details, we access the first record, and we want to access the fields dot status. Okay, we're saying we're accessing the first field over here because it returns an array, and it's only going to be one record in that, since there's only one order that has the specific order ID that the user has asked for. So we just want to access that because it's returning an array, and with that we access the dot fields dot status to get the status. Okay, the same thing for the customer name. So here in the product string, if you go back to the Airtable database, here I have it such that in the product ID, so here we have the order ID, and each order has some products attached to it. If the order has only one order, it will have only one product ID. But if the user has ordered a couple of items, they'll be saved and separated by a comma. So you see here, this is a string with the first order product ID and the next product ID. And this field is an actual string. So what we want to do, back in our voice flow, we want to split it. Okay, so you're seeing we are capturing the product IDs over here, that string. Then we want to split it by the comma. It will return an array, or save it in the split IDs. And what we want to do, first create an empty array, IDs array. Okay, then we loop through these IDs that were split over here, and for each ID, push it to this empty array that we've created over here. Okay, so that we have them separate. Okay, then we'll save these IDs that we have gotten to the order product list variable that we've created in voice flow. Okay, then with that being said, we can be able now to run the function. Okay, so next, here is a set AI, and the work of this set AI is to give back the response. If you remember in the demo, once it displays the carousel to the user on the specific order products that they have in their order, we have a response after that saying something like, Mutisa Mwadime, your order for the above items has been shipped and is on the way to your location. That statement we generate with the set AI. So you can pause and read through it, but you see here are the different order statuses and their meanings. So we give it this fulfilled, shipped, and delivered, and the exact meanings. So give the user a response on the status of their order. For example, John, your order for your above items has been shipped and is on the way to your location. Kindly await its arrival. Thank you. Then we save that response to a variable called order status response. And in the settings, we just say a quick prompt, okay? So it's nothing major, okay? So next here, we want to generate an Airtable formula that will call the products table that we'll be able to get the product details on that specific order. We actually just want the images, so that's what we want. So in this case, we pass in the order products list that we've generated and gotten the product IDs in that specific order. Then we want to generate an Airtable formula, something like this, or ID is 101, or where the ID is 102, or where the ID is 103. Get back those products and send them back to VoiceFlow. Okay, so we want to save that formula that will be generated to order products formula. Then here in the settings, we give it some more prompting so that it behaves accordingly. So you can pause and read through that. So next here, we do the API call. Okay, and here just like initially, we paste in the link that we get from the Airtable API documentation. Then we add this part and filter by formula and put in the formula that we've generated. Okay, authorization, put in your access token over here. Okay, then here in the parameters, we just want the image and the product name. Okay, so that's why we're not trying to get everything from this database. Here in the products, you can see we don't need all this, we just need the product name and the image. Okay, so that's why in the parameters we pass in those specific fields. Then save whatever is returned to response.records. Okay, so then from here we go to a JavaScript that will come up with the variable that will display the dynamic carousel. So kind of just like the initial stage, we create an empty array called cards. Then we want to loop through the order products array that we get from the API call up here. So, and for each card, we want a title, description, image, URL, and buttons. Okay, so the title will pass in the actual product name. Okay, then the description will leave it as empty, and the image URL we pass it in there accordingly. The buttons, we don't have any buttons, so we leave it empty. And here we have the order products array. This is the payload that will pass into the custom action. So you have the layout, carousel, and the cards of the carousel. Then finally here we convert that JSON into a string so that it can be passed into the custom action. So here in the custom action, you can see the custom action name matches the trace type we're trying to render, which is a carousel. Then in the action body, we put in the order products array. And we don't have any paths over here because we just want to flow directly and display the status response. Okay, so with that, we'll just move on and display a text message, which is the order status response that was generated by the AI. The next, we ask them, is there anything else I can help you with? If yes, we tell them sure, go ahead, and pass it directly to the intent classifier. Notice that we're passing it directly to the intent classifier and we're not inserting a captcha block before that, because for the intent classifier block to work, the flow needs to have already just flown into the intent classifier and is waiting for the user to send in their response for it to be able to be classified. Otherwise, if I had a captcha block over here, then after inserting the captcha block is when I forward it to the intent classifier. This won't work because it needs to be there sitting and waiting in the intent classifier before the user sends in their response. Okay, so that is critical. So I'll return it as is. So if they say they have nothing else they need help with, we just tell them, if you need any further assistance, I'm here for you. Then we end the chat. So yeah, that's it. I know it's been a bit long, but quite profound. So we can do a test run. So go back to homepage. So click start. Greetings, I'm Zawadi and I can help you find the perfect bag and track your order. So let's say some nice bags for the office. It jumps to the product recommendation workflow. So you can see it there. Hope these bags meet your requirements. So you can see it there, some nice briefcase. Okay, and you can be like, what about, let us see. See, it displays some tote bags that you can carry around in the beach. So let's say you want to track your order. I want to track my order. To jump to the order tracking workflow, provide your order number 102. To call the database, gives back my order product details. See it there. Then the statement, your order for the above items has been shipped and is on the way to your location. Kindly await its arrival. Thank you. So you can see it there. Those are the orders, and I think I'm okay. So you'll click no. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask. So yeah, that's it from me. If you'd love to have such a system built for your own company, feel free to click the link in the description where you'll visit our website and book in a meeting with our team. And also, if you want access to the actual template for free, I'll have it in the description. So go ahead and capture that. Till next time, stay serving. Peace.